Alright, welcome back, and sorry for the fan noise, but we are going to get into Level 3 now, okay? So the Level 3 badge has quite a lot going on here, okay? We got our nice front with a campfire in front of Mount Hood. You'll notice here there are some tiny little things. This is, after all, a soldering challenge. So before we throw you into the deep end and expect you to do all that, we have here on the back a bunch of practice pads, okay? These pads are not hooked up to anything, so you don't have to worry about messing up your badge with them. And I also included an extra trace in here in case you wanted to practice, you know, cutting a trace or bridging the trace and that sort of stuff. Today I'm just going to give you some of the fundamentals of surface mount soldering. Okay, so first of all, these are tiny little components, right? So we're going to need tweezers. I've got over here some practice components left over from a kit I did. If you enjoy this sort of thing, you might look at getting the SMT Garden. It's a fun little project, and you end up with lots of extra components. So, bonus, right? And put this back into my field of view there. All right, so I'm going to peel off here a couple 1206s. So the size is the same regardless of whether it's a capacitor or a resistor or an LED. A 1206 is a 1206, okay? So that's what that looks like. And you'll see over here on this example ruler, a 1206 and an 805 are quite similar to each other, okay? So sometimes you can get a component to fit on either one. To start, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little dab of solder on one side, on one pad. Heat the pad up, touch a little solder, heat the pad up, touch a little solder, right? I'm going to go ahead and do some 805s while I'm at it. Bada boom, bada boom. Alright, I'm not going to do the 0603s. You see how tiny those are? That would be so easy to just bridge over. I'm going to show you another technique here in a little bit that will help you do stuff like that, okay? So if you're doing these by hand, you've touched one side, put the tweezers, put it in place, and you melt it up, and you get it to stick and to flow, and you hold it in place while you let go, okay? Now if you didn't get enough on there the first time, you might need to dab some more. But once it's in place, you can switch over to the other side here, and touch it down to the pad, warm up the thing you want, touch the solder to it, and watch it flow. Doesn't take much, okay? So, practice makes better, so I'm going to do one more 1206 here. There we go. Flowing nice and smooth. I'm just going to add a little bit here on this side. It looked a little lean. There we go. I have here some 06, 03 practice capacitors and resistors and things, and man, those things are tiny. I mean, look at those pads. 06, 03. You got to be kidding me, right? Yeah. I'm not going to try and do those by hand with this big fat tip over here. Now, you can get finer tips, and that's all fine and dandy, but I'm going to show you a nifty way. This is a plunger of solder paste, okay? You can get these in multi-packs for like 10 bucks or less. Comes with lots of different tips and whatnot. I've been using this one for a while. So I have a lead here that I stick in the tip of this thing to make sure there's always a path for the solder paste to come out, okay? So I'm going to remove my leg so the paste can come out, okay? And I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure. And I'm going to dab that across these contacts, okay? And you're like, hey, but they're touching. Yeah, they're touching. That's okay. It's most important to just not have too much, because what happens is when you hit this paste with heat, it will melt into a liquid. And because of that, it will follow the surface tension and collect on the pads that you have there, okay? So I'm going to remove some pressure here from my tube, stick the lead back in the tip, and I pulled the plunger out to relieve the pressure, and I can now set it aside in case I want to use it later, okay? So this paste does two things. It also helps you place your components, okay? So if I take my practice capacitors now, or LEDs or whatever, this is just a size, right? 603. I can't get them out. Even if I did get them out, they like to fling, and I don't want to fling them. So another useful thing is to make sure you have a good work surface, and you can just tap them out onto your work surface, okay? So now I got two capacitors, and they don't care which direction they go, okay? And I can set them in the paste about where they should go, okay? And the torture here is that I put all the pieces next to one another, so it's probably going to liquefy more than one at a time given the huge tip on here. So I'm going to scoot that guy to the side, gotta hold him still, and then put this guy alongside of him, okay? Now we're going to hope that all of that paste is going to liquefy and the surface tension will draw those components to where they're supposed to go, okay? This is what they use in industrial manufacturing when they're doing this stuff in batch, is they have a paste stencil, they lay down all the paste, then they put all the components on here, and then they bake it in an oven, and that's what makes them get soldered to the board. Okay, so get my tweezers here, hold things still, get ready to adjust. So I'm just going to start on one side here. Okay. So that one seemed to take okay. Let's get the rest of it liquefied here. See what's happening there? Now, unfortunately, it's stuck to my tip, so I need my tweezers to hold it in place. And I think I ended up with a little too much solder paste in there. So for fun, I'm going to put this one on the opposite end, so it's not near any other pads, okay? Now, I've got two pads in the middle here. I'm just going to hit that with heat real quick, and you can see how the solder kind of collects on wherever the pads are, right? Of course, if you have too much on there, it would be very easy to bridge those two, right? So, this is the hard stuff, folks. This is why it's a challenge. And that's also why I give you practice ones on the back. Now, how do you know if they are successful? Well, unless they light up, you don't. Not on the back, because these aren't hooked to anything, right? But once you get some practice and you flip it over here, you'll see on the front I've got some 060. There's no 0603s here on the front. That was just for practice, but we do have some 0805, 1206 sizes, and up here are some 0603s with a larger pad, so that it'll be much easier. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to clean my tip here and grab a another 0603 to show you how much easier it is with a big pad. Now in this case, with the pads being so nice and big like that, you could actually do this one by hand, and I'm going to attempt to do so. Like the other surface mount stuff, I'm going to do one side first, get a little solder dabbed on there, and once there's some solder on there, we take our component, place it on there, get it hot, and let it connect. So, just goes to show you, with a little practice, you can do the 0603s by hand, especially if someone's left you a larger pad to work with here, okay? There you go, just like that. So, you do a resistor and a diode, and you should light up. Now, thanks for joining me. Good luck.